Let's talk about the cause and effect essay, looking specifically at a 5-paragraph essay format and how that goes along with your thesis statement. If you don't have very much experience writing essays, a 5-paragraph essay format can be a good format to help you organize your essay. It's by no means the only way to write an essay. And if you do go on to college and you're writing longer essays, a 5-paragraph essay format is not a great way to write your essay. But for those of you who are just starting to write essays or getting back into writing essays, a 5-paragraph essay is a great format to help you organize your thoughts and stay on topic. So let's get into it. There we go. 5-paragraph essay format has 5 paragraphs, and it goes like this. Your first paragraph is your introduction, and you're going to introduce your 3 main points. That's going to be your last sentence. That's your thesis statement. Then you have your first point in your second paragraph, your second point in your third paragraph, your third point in your fourth paragraph, and your last paragraph, your fifth paragraph, is your conclusion. You'll summarize those main points. Before writing your essay, you're going to choose your topic. If you're in 12th grade writing your cause and effect PWA essay, then you will probably be writing about the causes and effects of the Spanish flu. So research that topic and decide which format is the best for writing your essay, whether that's focusing on causes or focusing on effects. You can look at Unit 6 to review each of those. If you are writing about focusing on the causes, for example, for the Spanish flu epidemic, you can say the Spanish flu epidemic was caused by, and what do you think are the 3 most important things that caused the Spanish flu? That'll be your thesis, the last sentence in your first paragraph. So let's say the Spanish flu epidemic was caused by close proximity of soldiers during World War I, the lack of quarantines, and the lack of medical knowledge. You're going to choose your top 3 things that you think were the causes if you're focusing on causes. And then your essay would look like this. In the first paragraph, you're going to introduce the history about the causes of the Spanish flu epidemic, just a little bit as an introduction. And the last sentence of this paragraph is the thesis. So you're going to introduce, you're going to talk a little bit about the Spanish flu, and your last sentence in that paragraph would be, if you were me, the Spanish flu epidemic was caused by close proximity of soldiers during World War I, the lack of quarantines, and the lack of medical knowledge. And then you would move on to the second paragraph. The second paragraph, you're going to talk about that first reason that you said in your thesis. So the second paragraph will be all about the close proximity of soldiers during World War I causing the Spanish flu epidemic. You'll talk about the reason why they were in close quarters, the reason why that was dangerous for their health. And then you'll transition to the third paragraph. The third paragraph, you're going to talk about that second reason that you introduced in your thesis, the lack of quarantines causing the Spanish flu. So you can talk about all the ways that lack of quarantine spread the Spanish flu. So you can talk about how people, even though they were sick, they were still meeting with other people, and other reasons that the lack of quarantines would cause the Spanish flu. And then you'll transition to your third paragraph, which will talk about, your fourth paragraph, which will talk about how the lack of medical knowledge caused the Spanish flu epidemic. So you can talk about how they didn't have vaccines, how they didn't know about hand washing and different things like that, and how those things cause the spread of the Spanish flu epidemic. And your last paragraph will be a conclusion, a recap of those 3 main points. Now, if instead of focusing on causes, you focus on effects or the results of the Spanish flu, then you might write a thesis like this. Because of the Spanish flu pandemic, what were the things that happened? And you'll choose your top 3 things that you think are the most important things that happened because of the Spanish flu epidemic. So, for instance, you might choose local authorities tried to stop the spread, hospitals reached capacity, and 50 million people died. And very similarly, you write these in your 5 paragraphs. So your first paragraph, just like in if you were focusing on causes, focusing on effects, your first paragraph is going to talk about a little bit of the history of the Spanish flu and introduce the effects of the Spanish flu epidemic. And your last sentence in that paragraph will be your thesis. So you'll have your introduction, talk about the history. Last sentence, in my case, would be because of the Spanish flu pandemic, local authorities tried to stop the spread, hospitals reached capacity, and 50 million people died. In your second paragraph, you'll talk about that first reason that you introduced in your thesis. Because of the Spanish flu epidemic, local authorities tried to stop the spread. Then you'll transition to your third paragraph, which is the second reason. Another result of the Spanish flu was that hospitals reached capacity. You'll talk about that and what happened, how hospitals reached capacity. And in your fourth paragraph, you'll talk about as a result of the Spanish flu epidemic, 50 million people died. How much of their population was that? More than the number of people that died just as a result of the war. And then finally, you'll transition to your conclusion, which is going to be a recap of your 3 main points and wrapping up your essay.